So today we're going to start with, starting before we do scientific experiments, you have to learn how to observe. We need to learn the two ways you take observations. There's quantitative observations and qualitative observations. It's tricky because they sound alike, but there's a distinct difference between the two. One way to remember it in short, qualitative observations has an L, and that can stand for language. So you use your senses and your words to describe an object or the material that you're using in your scientific experiment. With quantitative observations, there's an N, which can stand for numbers, which is you use measurements. You take measurements of the objects or the materials you're using in your experiment and take those observations to distinguish between qualitative and quantitative observations. So can I have a volunteer to read number 1? Abby, thank you.
The popcorn smells burnt.
Good. Take a minute, think it over. Remember what I said between quantitative and qualitative observations, the difference. And can I have a volunteer to give me their answer? Janie.
Qualitative.
Qualitative. Good. Why?
Because the L means language and it's not N for number.
Good. So where in this sentence do you use language and not measurement?
Smells burnt.
Good. You're using the sense of your smell to describe the popcorn. All right. Number 2. My foot is 7 inches long. Take a few seconds, think about it, and can I have a volunteer to give me their answer on this one? Joe.
Quantitative.
Quantitative. Great. Why do you say quantitative?
Because you're measuring your foot. It's
Good.
a number.
Exactly. So we're using units of measurement to describe our object. And last one, number 3, it stands on 4 legs. This one's kind of tricky. Think about it before you just guess. And can I have a volunteer with their answer? Janie?
Qualitative.
Great! That is the right answer. Why do you say that?
Because you're seeing the legs, not counting them.
Exactly. The reason this one is hard is because you see the number 4 there, and you're thinking, oh, it's a number. It's quantitative. But you're actually not measuring anything. You're not using any units. You're seeing with your eyes that, say, it's a chair that we're speaking of, that it stands on 4 legs. Now that we have our examples done, can I have everyone stand up? I came up with a little jingle that we're going to use to remember the difference between qualitative and quantitative observations. We all know the song, heads, shoulders, knees and toes, right? Sound familiar? Okay. So the first verse is for qualitative observations because we use our language and our senses. So it goes qualitative observations, qualitative observations, use eyes and ears and mouths and nose. Qualitative observations. Now your turn. Let's review. It's use eyes and ears and mouths and nose in the middle. Ready? I'll sing it with you guys. 1, 2, 3. Qualitative observations. Qualitative observations. Use eyes and ears and mouths and nose. Qualitative observations. Great. Okay, so now quantitative. This one, the verse is going to be quantitative observations as the refrain, and then the verse is going to say use units like pounds and meters and feet.
Pounds and meters
and feet. Exactly.
How would that go?
So it's quantitative observations use pounds and meters. Well, use units like pounds and meters and feet.
Units like
Pounds and meters and feet. So one more. The verse is use units and pounds and meters and feet. Everyone got it? Any questions for this second verse? All right. So we start with quantitative observations. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Quantitative observations. Quantitative observations. Use units like pounds and meters and feet. Quantitative observations. All right, great job, guys. So now you're going to sit down and we're going to move on to the next part of the lesson. You're going to take measurements and observations of the shoes on your feet.